In the underbelly of the 21st century, a silent war rages on. Power, once measured in arms and economic might, now resides in the microscopic marvels that fuel our digital existence. This is a story of a new global fault line, where the intricate dance of critical technologies has ignited a geopolitical firestorm, reshaping the architecture of global commerce and national security. The era of frictionless globalization, particularly in critical tech, is over. The consequences are only beginning to unfold. Our journey starts in a world marked by escalating techno-nationalism. It's late 2024, and the global supply chains, though still interconnected, are fraying at the edges. Nations, once content with interdependent manufacturing, now prioritize strategic autonomy. The air is thick with tension, a hum of ambition and apprehension between technological giants and ascending powers. The stakes are clear: control over the building blocks of the digital age. From rare earth elements to cutting-edge semiconductors, these are not mere commodities, they're strategic assets, the new currency of global influence. For years, their flow was largely unrestricted, driven by economic efficiency. But beneath the surface, tectonic shifts are occurring, setting the stage for a dramatic restructuring that will send shockwaves across every sector reliant on these vital components. To understand the seismic shifts that followed, we must first grasp the core mechanisms at play. Rare earth elements, a group of 17 chemically similar metallic elements, are central to this unfolding drama. Despite their name, many are not exceptionally rare in the Earth's crust, but they're seldom found in commercially viable concentrations. Their unique properties make them indispensable in everything from smartphones and electric vehicles to fighter jets, missile guidance systems, and advanced medical imaging. For decades, China dominated the mining, refining, and processing of these crucial materials, wielding immense influence over global supply. Export controls, in this context, are government-imposed restrictions on the outbound flow of goods, technology, or services to other countries. They're powerful tools of economic statecraft, used for national security, foreign policy, or to gain economic leverage. Initially, in late 2024, China granted a one-year exemption for some rare earth export controls, offering a brief, deceptive reprieve. But the true intentions were far from altruistic. Simultaneously, the world grappled with the even more intricate and vital domain of advanced semiconductors. Specifically, AI chips and high-performance semiconductors, fabricated at nodes below 7 nanometers, are the digital brains of modern computing. These chips represent a generational leap in processing power, enabling the exponential growth of artificial intelligence, high-performance computing, and next-generation military applications. Their manufacturing is an incredibly complex, capital-intensive process, requiring specialized equipment, highly skilled labor, and an ecosystem of materials concentrated in very few locations. Taiwan, through its world-leading foundries, became the undisputed linchpin of this global supply chain, a geographic vulnerability that soon transformed into a strategic chokepoint. The West, particularly the United States and the European Union, began to implement their own expanding restrictions, known as AI chip control regimes, limiting the sale of these critical technologies to designated adversaries. These measures aim to curb military modernization and technological advancement by denying access to the most cutting-edge processing power. The situation was further complicated by the realization that even seemingly innocuous components could be weaponized. A forensic analysis confirmed the integration of weaponized commodity semiconductors into commercial off-the-shelf drone platforms. These ubiquitous, low-cost drones were being repurposed and upgraded with readily available chips, turning them into potent, affordable, and difficult-to-track military assets. This discovery profoundly shifted the national security calculus, demonstrating that export controls could no longer be solely focused on the most advanced, obvious military-grade technologies. The very foundational components of our digital world were now deemed critical, prompting a radical reevaluation of global supply chain security and the necessity of multi-layer compliance programs. Nations and corporations alike braced for impact. The moment of reckoning, or the crash as it manifested, wasn't a singular, sudden collapse but a cascading series of events that began to unravel the carefully constructed global supply chain. The initial rare earth export control exemption proved illusory. In early 2025, it was abruptly rolled back, replaced with stricter licensing requirements that sent shockwaves through industries reliant on these materials. Prices for critical rare earth components soared, lead times stretched indefinitely, and manufacturers scrambled for alternative, often non-existent, sources. This policy shift underscored the inherent fragility of relying on a single source for essential inputs. Simultaneously, the expanding U.S. and EU restrictions on advanced AI chip shipments began to bite deep. Companies found themselves caught in a geopolitical crossfire, unable to procure the cutting-edge components vital for their next-generation products or research. The global semiconductor market plunged into extreme volatility, marked by unpredictable price swings and significant investment uncertainty. The comprehensive timeline published in late 2025 laid bare the brutal reality. Policy shifts were directly causing capacity constraints in Taiwan's fabs to become more acute. As demand for resilient supply outstripped the ability to produce, the vulnerability of the island's advanced manufacturing facilities became a stark, undeniable truth, heightening geopolitical anxieties. The rollout of new AI chip control regimes officially limited sales of nodes below 7 nanometers to designated adversaries, effectively bifurcating the global technology landscape. This created an immediate sense of panic among companies facing product delays, curtailed innovation, and the existential threat of being cut off from critical technologies. The psychology of this period was dominated by fear of economic fallout, fear of falling behind technologically, and a pervasive fear for national security. Corporations that had prioritized efficiency and low costs were suddenly forced to confront the immense risks embedded in their globalized operations. The market wasn't just volatile, it was fundamentally restructuring, driven by national interests over pure economic logic. From the crucible of this geopolitical tech conflict emerged a new paradigm for critical technology management. The aftermath was not a return to the status quo, but a permanent restructuring projected to deepen through 2027 and beyond. The philosophical lesson was clear: resilience and strategic autonomy had to supersede pure economic efficiency. Companies, once focused solely on optimizing global supply chains for cost, were now compelled to adopt multi-layer compliance programs, as detailed in white papers from firms like Traliance. This meant far more than simply checking boxes. It involved sophisticated risk mitigation strategies, meticulously navigating complex licensing pathways, and undertaking extensive due diligence on every component and partner. The threat of weaponized commodity semiconductors transformed basic supply chain security into a national security imperative, demanding granular oversight of even the most mundane components. The legal and operational consequences were profound. Firms invested heavily in reshoring, nearshoring, or friendshoring manufacturing capabilities, seeking to diversify their supply bases away from geopolitical flashpoints. New alliances and partnerships, once unthinkable, were forged out of necessity. The global trade landscape irrevocably shifted, moving away from a single, optimized global chain towards regionalized, redundant networks designed for security and stability rather than pure cost savings. This ongoing strategic reevaluation redefined not just how critical technologies were made and moved, but how nations interacted. The era of AI chip geopolitics had firmly arrived, a complex dance of technological supremacy, economic leverage, and national security that would define international relations for the foreseeable future, demanding perpetual vigilance and adaptation from every player on the global stage. The future of global commerce and national security hangs in the balance, as the world navigates this treacherous new landscape.